Have you ever thought about how the trending British period drama, Bridgerton, is linked to duck feathers and to the Indian city of Pune? Join me today on my brand new show to find out how. My name is Chaitanya, and I'm a part time Wikipedia editor and a full time nerd. I spend a little bit of time making things better on the internet, and a lot of time reading anything and everything I can get my hands on. This is Hyperlinked, a series where we explore not only the common connections between things, concepts, and phenomena, but the unexpected and often obscure relationships that I discovered while jumping from hyperlink to hyperlink through Wikipedia's rabbit holes. Let's get straight to it and understand our three nodes a bit better before we explore the hyperlink for today. Firstly, Bridgerton. Originally a series of 8 books, these stories of the social lives and scandals of the British aristocracy in the early 19th century became very popular in the last few years after Netflix produced a high budget show on them. Often very loosely adhering to historical accuracy, Bridgerton's real draw is its combination of colorful settings and its portrayal of extravagant events. The aristocracy converges from their various country estates across England to London for the society season, and Bridgerton shows the various events and scandals along with all the gossip that happens in that period. Now pivoting to Pune. Pune is a city in the western Indian state of Maharashtra and has had a deeply layered history spanning the last few centuries. Originally a village at the confluence of the rivers Mura and Mutha, Pune's importance surged when Chhatrapati Shivaji's mother, Jizabai, chose to make the city her base and raise the young king to be in Pune. In the next few centuries, Pune became the capital of the Maratha Empire under the Peshwas and subsequently was captured by the British in the Anglo Maratha Wars. The British made it a part of Bombay Presidency and maintained a large military cantonment in the city, particularly due to its relatively mild weather all year round. And finally, duck feathers. Well, they're just feathers of birds like ducks and their close cousins geese. While usually white in color, some ducks and geese have grey, black, and brown feathers too. With this not so brief introduction out of the way, let's actually brainstorm to see if you can figure out the hyperlink for today. Pause here if you'd like to take a minute to think, or strap on as we explore today's connection. If you guessed that today's link has something to do with British colonialism, I would say that you're on the right track, but it's going to get a lot more specific than that. Let's actually go deeper. Bridgerton, while seemingly cohesive in its production design and narrative, actually relies on many, many different historical settings to carry out its shoots in. Its large cast of characters also has to be shown to live in a large variety of homes, many of which have to match every character's social status, wealth, and personality quirks. That is why, like many other period dramas, the show's team relies on a mix of purpose built sets and actual locations such as aristocratic houses. Many of these huge houses perform double duty, with their exteriors sometimes standing in for one character's house and parts of their interior stand in for houses of other characters. That is why the Bridgerton team has shot all across Great Britain to maximize the utility from all available aristocratic residences. We're interested in one specific residence today, which is the seat of the Duchy of Burford, a title that has been around for at least 400 years now. Their seat, or country house, is a large Grade 1 heritage listed estate, and it is the anchor of our hyperlink today. In Bridgerton's Season 1, this house featured prominently in the indoor scenes featuring Daphne Bridgerton and her husband, the fictional Duke of Hastings. The name of the house of the real Dukes of Beaufort is actually Badminton House, which is also the source of the name of the popular sport today. Badminton seems to have come about as a competitive version of a group game known as battledores and shuttlecocks. Battledores are the predecessors of modern day rackets, and shuttlecocks are still used today in modern badminton. The original game is probably many centuries old, and it involved players standing around in a circle and passing the shuttlecock with the battledores, with the objective of not letting it fall to the ground. One theory about the origin of the game says that the children growing up in Badminton House were forced to play indoors due to inclement weather, and they were asked not to play with a ball because it might damage the expensive paintings and sculptures in the house's galleries and ballrooms. It is possible that the children played battledores and shuttlecocks, but later innovated it to become competitive, and that was subsequently popularized. The second theory about the game's origin seems more plausible because it's more firmly rooted in British history. As a part of the commercial and subsequently colonial endeavor, many young British men made their way to faraway India as merchants, clerks, soldiers, and civil servants to manage the vast undertaking. It is often said that the British Empire was built on the second sons of aristocracy, which is to say that men much like Benedict Bridgerton would actually have taken up positions in Britain's overseas territories. This is because they were not in line to inherit the estate and did not have responsibilities of their land or even a fortune to fall back on. That is why these minor aristocrats flooded the overseas postings and made use of their education and upbringing to build their own fortunes. India postings were especially notorious for copious amounts of alcohol consumption and other debauchery, but many young appointees also took to sport as a pastime. It is said that in the late 1800s, while in the garrison town of Pune, or Pune as it was known then, soldiers took to innovating on battledores and shuttlecocks and playing it competitively. Anywhere from 1 to 4 players each side played with rackets and shuttlecocks, with a net in the middle, and the game itself started to be called Pune. The sport gained popularity first amongst the officers and cadets in India, and the rules were slowly codified as the Pune rules. Soon, it is alleged that the sport made its way back to Britain with the returning officers, where it was then popularized and codified towards the end of the 19th century. Regardless of how the game was invented, whether by children or by officers, it was popularized at Badminton House in the 1870s, and the name stuck thereafter. After the rules were formally codified, the regulations specified that the shuttlecock had to be made from 16 duck feathers, embedded in a cork or rubber base. Today, while synthetic shuttlecocks or plastics are gaining in popularity due to their durability, duck feathers remain the sought after material for making regulation shuttlecocks, particularly in professional tournaments. So that was it. Bridgerton uses many country estates in Britain as shoot in locations, and Badminton House is one of them. Badminton as a sport was said to have been invented in Pune, probably by someone much like Benedict Bridgerton, and it was subsequently popularized at Badminton House. Standard badminton shuttlecocks are made from duck feathers, and that is how these three things are hyperlinked. Thanks for listening in. Hyperlinked is proudly human made, with little to no involvement of large language models in research, editing, or production. If you haven't already, do consider following or subscribing because it helps a lot. I would also love to hear your feedback about this episode and your suggestions for future episodes.